Hey, it's Renee here from thefemininewoman.com. Welcome to this video on the 7 signs a man is being low value. Now, I know it might seem mean or even arrogant to deem someone as having low value or low mate value. However, the harsh truth is that in the dating world, men and women unconsciously and consciously size up the opposite sex for their mate value, whether we like it or not. As humans, we always gravitate towards value and move away from things and people who have no value to add. That's why we as a culture gravitate towards celebrities and move away from poverty. For the purposes of this video, by mate value, I want you to know that I mean the signs that show a man's overall value as a romantic partner. Mate value also refers to his potential reproductive success. For example, a strong, confident man would most likely have more reproductive success than a grown man who is unhealthy, lazy, unconfident, or who has bad genetics. As women, we owe it to ourselves to choose good men. Not only that, we owe it to evolution and to other women around us who are watching us as an example to choose good men. There's no need to feel guilty about judging a man's mate value. Men evaluate women harshly too. I'm sure you already knew that. And men understand naturally that when they invest in a woman, that woman better be a good woman. No man wants to willingly put his emotions, his money, time, energy, or resources into a woman who shows up low value. And women don't want to invest their time, energy, money, resources, and emotions in a man who shows up low value, only because it doesn't serve us and it doesn't serve the future generation. And of course, it doesn't serve us as a species. So remember that the world isn't always kind, and that's okay. We all have to do the best for ourselves. Which man you choose in your life is perhaps the most important decision you'll ever make for yourself. So do pay attention. A quick disclaimer before we begin. A man can exhibit 1 or 2 of these signs and still be a high value man. Sometimes a man has a bad day or a bad week or a bad period in his life. However, if a man continually exhibits 2 or more of these signs, then it could indicate deeper and more chronic problems. So let's begin. Here are the 7 burning signs a man is being low value. Low value sign number 1. He can't tolerate you saying no. Now, women in general sometimes have fears around saying no, and there's a good reason for that. Sometimes when we exert our boundaries, when we say no, it upsets people. However, there are many moments in which you as a woman will want to and need to say no. And if a man responds to your no with pressuring you or trying to trigger your fears, then he may just want to use you and therefore he cannot handle your no. Now, I want to be clear on this. It requires a good woman who is not in a fearful state to properly interpret whether he truly cannot tolerate your no. To truly appreciate if he can tolerate your no requires you to not be in a fearful state, but rather be present. You see, a lot of us carry a lot of fear around in our bodies when we interact with people, and we don't even realize it. If you decide in a fearful state that a man didn't receive your no, then you could be wrong about him. So how do you really know if he can tolerate your no or not? First of all, don't tell him no from a place of judgment or resentment. Many men will pick up on that and he'll have his own negative feelings towards that, and that's fair enough, right? Tell him no because you strongly feel a no. Say it with conviction and authenticity. Don't say no just for the sake of seeming higher value. So provided you are not in a fearful state and you are present with a man and you say no to being touched or grabbed, or you say no to anything else, and instead of respecting your boundaries, he blames you or gets angry at you for not giving him what he wants, then you can be pretty sure he's being low value. Unless, of course, you guys already have a long history together of being in a turbulent relationship, in which case his anger could be related to that history. In general, a man of real value will enjoy women being able to say no to him because he can trust women like this more. And of course, he's already got enough value in his life, and so he doesn't need to take every little thing he can get from a woman. Okay, low value sign number 2. He puts you down. It's not only me who says this, scientists say it too. Putting a woman down is an insecure, low-value man's way of trying to keep her chained to him, reducing her self-esteem, making her feel like her other options in men out there are non-existent or limited. It's a low-value man's way of controlling a woman's sexual resources. The smaller you feel as a woman, the better it is for these types of men. The more a man can make a woman doubt herself, the more likely she is to stay with him for a sense of certainty. Women can get stuck in this type of cycle with a man because we tend to feel strong guilt very quickly, right? And some men sense this about women and they play on it. They keep you hooked into relationship with them by inducing guilt in you. Don't play that game. Low value sign number 3. He's very concerned about his image. For these types of men, everything is for show. He's so afraid of doing his own thing, of losing other people's acceptance, that he clings to a fake image of himself. How can you trust a man who spends more energy painting an image of himself than he spends in his own actual business? As the saying goes, the empty vessel makes the most noise. So, the men who feel like they have the least value, the men who truly have low self-esteem, they may craft a nice, loud image to try to take from the women who get sucked into it. To be clear, it's not a strict thing that men do that makes them image-focused. It's not, say, driving a Ferrari or an extremely extra sports car. Some men drive a Ferrari or a sports car just for the joy or for the novelty of it. Conversely, some men go into huge debt or scam people to get that Ferrari or the nice sports car. And that's all for the image. So it's really the place that a man comes from. Often a man who is image-focused can't stay connected to anyone because he's too afraid and feels too unworthy to connect. He's so focused on image and he spends a lot of time on his image because he thinks that that will make him worthy of love and connection. Unfortunately, most of these men will never experience what a genuine connection actually feels like. When you go too far in creating an image for yourself, you lose your ability to genuinely connect. Men who spend money they don't have on nice cars, men who start businesses to scam people and never commit to actually building a long-term business entity. These are all examples of a man who is too focused on his image. Believe it or not, a lot of men actually do this. So don't fall for an image. It has no substance. Be patient and see through the facade for who a man really is. Sign number 4, he always chooses friends who are bottom of the crop. Sometimes out of fear, men will chronically choose less than average friends. That is to say that he hangs with friends who are the same level or below him. Sometimes it is because he feels mediocre himself, and because of that, his ego feels afraid at the thought of associating with people who are ahead of him. The key is really this. Look for whether he's open to opportunities to befriend high-value, high-status men. The key is his level of openness to befriend other and perhaps more successful men than himself. There are men out there who purposefully never make friends with men who are better than him, as he doesn't feel good enough and wants to hide from the reality and the challenge of making something of his own life. Low value sign number 5. He's quick to criticize others. When we feel like we're not enough, and we're happy to settle for that exact feeling in our lives, never striving for more, we tend to want to put others down. We will literally seek out and paint situations where we get to put another person down. And we put others down because we need to in order to avoid feeling the deep pain and the trauma of feeling unworthy. If instead we brought others up, we would have to acknowledge that the place that we're at is not ideal. And sometimes that's just too painful, even though it could be beneficial. So, chronic criticism and putting others down is the tool of a man who feels scared, who doesn't want change, who likes to stay small, and who believes that other people's success is at odds with his own. I believe a truly successful man or woman is willing to learn from others and knows that if someone else does well, it is an indication of what is possible for them too. Okay, low value sign number 6. He is stingy, and not just to you, but to other people as well. You don't want a man who is so out of touch with you that he pours out all of his money and lavishes you with gifts without really knowing you, all in an attempt to buy your love. Some men don't feel they have a lot of value to a woman besides lavishing them with gifts or money. But you also don't want a man who is so unattuned and so stingy that he seems to withhold everything of value from you: connection, attention, and offers of help, for example. Generosity is one indicator of how resourceful a man is. By the way, not having money is not an excuse for not being generous. True generosity is about having an energy of being willing to share things of value, whether that's money, knowledge, emotions, connections, or experiences. And for the most part, I would much rather a man be generous with his time and energy than his money. Think about it. If a man is not generous to any degree, what is this a reflection of? Well, it's a reflection of how he feels about the world, about the resources that are available in the world, and it's a sign that he doesn't feel confident taking charge and being resourceful. Of course, you should never, ever expect a man to just be the only generous one. This is not your permission to just take without giving anything back. You see, whatever you want to take from others, you should also be willing to give. So make sure that you're not putting outdated rules upon men, thinking that they have to keep giving to you and that you as a woman should just sit back and receive because you're the ultimate feminine being. Because in my view, that's just silly. In a real relationship, it has to go both ways. That is what establishes real connection and trust. Otherwise, it's just a transaction, not a relationship. Okay, we're up to the final sign, low value sign number 7. You feel physically ill at the thought of sleeping with him. You see, your body doesn't lie. And I don't mean you don't want to sleep with him because he has food in his teeth or because he has bad breath. Remember that every time you let a man into your body, that's actually a vote for what traits will be continued in your offspring. So your body has inner wisdom that you may want to start listening to. If all else about this man is A grade, but you can't sleep with him without feeling sick, then all you're really doing is trading sex for his resources. Nothing wrong with that. Many women have made it work like that in the past, even if it comes with a huge price. I believe that a man can have high provider value and high spiritual value. But if your body consistently is closed off to him because your eggs are screaming a big no to his sperm, then you may want to reevaluate. Okay, those were the 7 signs a man is being low value. Now, of course, on the flip side of the coin, there are certain things that women do that men typically perceive as low value. Some of these things you may not even be aware of right now. You see, we as women think and feel through our feminine filters. Men don't. So, here's what I have for you. Whoa! I've put together a special report on the 7 common signs a woman is low value in the eyes of men. Now, I want you to have this for free so that you can get a glimpse into how men perceive women as well, and perhaps you can avoid being seen as low value. So, go and download this report for free. It's a digital download, so we're not going to be wasting any paper here. I'll make sure to add a link down below somewhere so that you can download this and go through it in your own time. Otherwise, if you can't find the link, then just go to 7commonsigns.com. That's the numerical 7commonsigns.com. Anyway, go read it. It might just open your eyes up and change your life. Anyway, that's all from me. I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll speak to you very soon. That's what establishes real trust. Stop. I don't mean, oh, you don't want to sleep with him because he has bad food. Can you start again? Just bad food.
After you do this one,